Welcome, friends, to this presentation of Venerable Yin Kit's Dharma talks that were first released in March of 2019. They're based on the teachings of the 10 vows of the Samantabhadra. We'll start with meditation, followed by Venerable Yin Kit's teachings. Enjoy.
Be mindful. Be mindful the way this body is. Be mindful the way this mind is. The mind is centered right here, right now. The body is relaxed. The mind is mindful of how the body is sitting. When the mind tunes in with this body, when the mind can start to feel the existence of this physical body, the mind is said to be at this present moment. Because the body is really sitting here. If the mind is not here, if it is somewhere else in the past, in the future, it doesn't feel the body. But if the mind is feeling this body, the whole body sitting here, or when you're going through the body, the posture, or you are actually watching the mind, whether it is quiet or not, or you have directed your attention to feel the breath manifesting itself in the body, or you have actually directed the mind to feel the incoming breath, the outgoing breath, or you have directed the mind to feel the different sensations in your body. These are all techniques These are all the steps that help one to develop, to cultivate the continuity of awareness. When the continuity happens, when the awareness is very heightened, very strong, the mind will definitely become more and more focused. When you become more and more focused, you may reach a state of strong concentration. And that strong concentration, because it's developed from this proper kind of mindfulness, basing on this understanding of the nature of experience, knowing that every experience that comes will change and it will go. Whether it's pleasant, whether it's unpleasant, whether I like it, whether we don't like it. Have that understanding at the back of this mind. That concentration, we call it the right kind of concentration, Sama Samadhi. When one reaches Sama Samadhi, or when one reaches a state of very quiet and focus, that is a very pleasant experience. But be very, very careful. The wise teacher taught us not to indulge in those pleasant experiences, but instead use those experiences to understand the way things exist, and use those experiences to understand how our mind actually deals with these experiences. The habit of our mind is very likely to start wanting the experience to linger on. Anytime that we start to crave for such lingering on of that blissful, pleasant experience, we are actually strengthening those habits of craving and greed. And similarly, during our meditation experience, if we are going through very difficult experiences, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, are we able to stay on top, keep our heads above water, and still be centered and be able to keep on a very objective view? To use those experiences to further strengthen our resilience, to further strengthen our view on sufferings, to further understand who creates all these sufferings. So it's not mere sitting, it's not mere observing the breath of the body or the sensations. If we are just merely doing that, we become mechanical. And we are not integrating the teachings into our meditative experiences. Same with our daily life. Every moment of our daily life is our meditation. It's our opportunity to implement what we have learned from the words of the wise teacher and see if we could use those words to understand our situation, to help ourselves to stay put, to help ourselves to be centered, to help ourselves to be grounded despite of the strong winds that we may experience in our lives. If we are not doing this, we are not utilizing this Dharma path fully, and we are not utilizing our human experiences fully. To be a human being and to encounter the wonderful teachings and to be able to practice the wonderful teachings is a very rare opportunity, and it's very precious. It is a treasure. But the treasure will not be a treasure unless we use it to correct and change the way our mind works. And that's what meditation is helping us to do. When the body quiets down by sitting, there's one less distraction, so that we could pay more attention to understand our mind. So understand this properly and practice properly. Understand and practice properly. Be mindful right here, right now. Be mindful right here, right now. let's start. Namo Bổn Sư Sư Cha Mâu Ni Phật. Namo Bổn Sư Sư Cha Mâu Ni Phật. Namo Bổn Sư Sư Cha Mâu Ni Phật. We seek refuge in the fundamental teacher of Sakyamuni Buddha. The sutra opening kata, the Dharma infinitely profound and subtle, is rarely encountered even in a million kalpas. Now we are able to hear, to study, and to practice. May we fully understand and realize the Tathagata's true teachings. So the 10 evil acts. So did we study this last time? Can't remember. But anyway, it's actually it's very. I think you folks should know it by heart now, or should know it very thoroughly. The 10 evil acts, or the 10 unwholesome. I would like to use unwholesome, unskillful acts. So, but I take this from the book. So, 10 unwholesome acts. You know the 3 physical unskillful actions are, or unskillful actions. The first is killing. Second is stealing. Third, fornication, that means
sexual
misconduct. Yes, very good. And then the 4 unskillful verbal actions are lying, slander, okay, harsh speech, gossip. Yeah, gossip is on the second, and the defamation and divisive talk. Remember? Okay, the 3 unskillful mental acts.
Wrong views.
No. Look, unskillful acts, mental acts. Craving, aversion. Ignorance. Anger and aversion goes into the same group. Remember? Okay? So those are the 10 unskillful acts or unwholesome acts. You know, I don't like to use the word evil or devil. It relates too much of sin and hell and punishment. Nobody punishes us. According to the Buddha's teachings, nobody can punish us. But we have to be responsible for the unskillful deeds that we do. Those are the unskillful consequences that we are responsible for. And nobody is powerful, authoritative enough to actually punish us. We actually punish ourselves by bearing those unskillful, unwholesome consequences. Okay, that's why this vocabulary I have second thoughts about, but I'm following the book. If I would have rewrite the book, I would have used different vocabulary. Okay, and then it says 5 irredeemable sins or 5 irredeemable actions. The same as the sin. I don't like the word sin because it doesn't really carry the true meaning of what the Buddha taught. Sin is something that we committed and it becomes very sinful, and then because of those sin we will be punished. Some superpowers or some high powers that we are sinful, and you will be punished by that unless you start to believe in my resurrection, then your sin will be purified. That is what other religions think, but the Buddhist, what the Buddha taught is no, we have to be responsible for all the unskillful actions and skillful thoughts that we carry ourselves, and those will bring on unskillful consequences or unskillful, unwholesome consequences. And we, like the fruits that a tree bear, that we have to bear those consequences. We have to be responsible, and we have to repay all those consequences ourselves. So the 5 irredeemable, unwholesome actions or unwholesome deeds, that what are those 5? I bring this up, I explain this because it's not being explained here. So all you read is what you read, and you wouldn't know what are those 5 irredeemable, unwholesome actions. So the first is injuring a Buddha or killing a Buddha. In here, I don't think it's possible now. It's possible now to actually injuring or killing a real Buddha in this lifetime for you and me, because we don't have a living Buddha right now. But it's possible to actually damage the image of a Buddha, right? A wooden Buddha, a wooden sculpture, or paper Buddha, a Buddha printed on paper. You can, but here it means intentionally destroying something, or intentionally destroying a Buddha statue or a paper Buddha, intentionally destroying with so much animosity or negativity. So if for example, if there is ever a Buddha statue, a Buddha printing on any of the paper, how when it's all like old and broken, what are we going to do? What can we do? When we scrap them or we burn them and bury the ash, is there a good intention or a bad intention?
Good.
Yeah, that is a good intention. So you are not intentionally destroy with negativity or anger. But throughout history, there are times that these are being destroyed. During the Cultural Revolution in China, people were intentionally destroyed, breaking all the Buddha statue and scraping them and burning them. Those are done with such an unskillful intention that these people have to bear the costs, have to bear the consequences. And same as other religious items. I mean, the cross or the Jesus statue, those are saintly statues, saintly items. If we at any time intentionally destroy any of those saint items, I think it's also actually create a lot of unskillful karma. Okay, but why would destroying a Buddha statue carry such a heavy karma? Because a Buddha statue represents a person with such integrity, with such compassion and wisdom, that we actually take them as a teacher. And they teach us how to become purified, how to become free, how to free ourselves from our entanglements and become a future Buddha, right? Remember in the Lotus Sutra, in one of the sutra, it says we are all future Buddha. Okay, so that's why injuring or destroying or hurting a Buddha can actually bring on irredeemable, unwholesome actions or unwholesome sins, they want to call it. And killing an arahant. You know, an arahant is an enlightened being. Not yet a Buddha, but already very wise and very, very wholesome and very compassionate. Why would killing an arahant cause such a heavy-weighted karma? Because an arahant is way enlightened, and also an arahant could actually help an enlightened being to become enlightened. So That's why it's also causing a lot of very, very heavy-weighted karma, and creating schism in the society of a sangha. Sangha means, remember, in a community. In the history of the Buddhist teachings, the first, can you guess who actually created the first schism? Devadatta. You know who? Remember who is Devadatta? Cousin of the Buddha, and he wanted to divide the congregation. He wanted to be the power of the sangha. Remember, the community, and he wanted to chuck the Buddha out. Remember that? He even wanted to kill the Buddha with the drunken elephant. Remember that? And with a big piece of rock rolling down from the mountain, right? And so Devadatta was actually the first one who actually created the how do you pronounce this word? Schism. Oh, so I'm right. Okay. So that means creating a split in the community, in the sangha community, in the practitioner community. So this we can see that actually the schism is actually very widespread among many religions, right? Especially in the Western religion, there's so much division, and it actually causes a lot of disharmony within such religion, and this is actually being condemned by the Buddha. And the Buddha said, in order for the teachings to go on, and the harmony is actually very, very crucial to keep the teachings going on. So, but we can see, what do you think? What do you think causes schism? The basic, the deep hidden cause. Greed and ego. Yeah, ego. Me, mine. Our religion is the best. Yours is wrong. I am right, and yours is wrong, and yours is bad. Yours is not comparable to ours. So the Buddha never said that my teaching is the best, but he said my teaching is supreme. Why? Because it teaches you the true nature, the truth pertaining to the nature, pertaining to the existence. I'm reading a book, it's called Small Answers to Big Questions by Stephen Hawkins. It's a wonderful book. I just got the English copy from Taiwan, and I've gone through 4 pages, and somebody looked at my book and said, wow, it's very interesting. I said, give it to you. I gave it away. So last night in the Hong Kong airport, I managed to find a Chinese copy. And he said, he mentioned something like this. Well, not really schism. He mentioned something about the existence of a God, and what is time. And it's wonderful questions, and wonderful answers. And he said, there is no such thing as a God. And he said, I don't want to actually, hurt anybody, but when you think about superpower, there is no such thing as superpower there. You should really read that book. And he said, everything arises because it's natural for it to arise, because of all the conditions that bring it together for it to arise. So I think because I have watched that movie, and that is the part I felt so interested. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. So when I saw that book, I said, well, I need to read this book. And when he talks about time, time and space. Wow, it's so fascinating. I cannot put them into words, but you have to read it. Maybe we can use that as a study book too. Interesting.
It's called Small Answers.
Small Answers to Big Questions. Yeah, by Stephen Hopkins. Actually, he didn't write it. He's I think Eddie, the one who actually played him, helped him to actually put all these together.
Wow.
Yeah.
The actor, Eddie Redmayne?
The actor also, Eddie.
Yeah. Wow.
And of course, he had all these answers, right? But I think they compiled them together. I don't know whether he actually wrote some of them, but anyway, it was very interesting. Yeah, small answers to big questions. So schism and matricide. You know what is matricide?
Killing your mother?
Yeah. So, and patricide, killing your father. So, does it happen? It does. It does happen. Especially nowadays in the society, it is so. There are actually quite a few matricide and patricide happening in China and in Hong Kong. Yeah, quite a few in the last few years. Actually, I think there are at least 5. I've known 5, at least 5 episodes like this. So that is 5 irredeemable, unwholesome actions. Okay? So when you read this, then you know what they are, and the 10 evil actions and 5 irredeemable. It's actually not irredeemable, I can tell you. It's not really irredeemable. If anything that is irredeemable, then the Buddha is not really, he's lying. Because he said when you completely repent and anything that you can see is as arising and passing, and you don't start to grasp on it, and you don't attach to it, and you completely detach and starting to see the truth why this has arisen and how it stays on, how it changes and how it passes, and there's really no identification, no discrimination, nothing like that, then where is the scene? Where is the action? Where are the causes? Where are the results? That's why the sunnata, the emptiness, it comes into play. It's not just talking, but really you will start to see through the truth. So irredeemable, this is, I don't think is a proper vocabulary to describe these 5 unwholesome actions, but these are really very, very heavy-weighted karmic actions, I could say. Okay. So and then it says the paragraph above that, just before that, is practice the 6 ways of harmonious respect. The 3rd line on the in the paragraph just above that one, and then leading followers to use kind words and practice the 6 ways of harmonious respect. So 6 ways of harmonious respect, it seems that it's applicable just to the congregations of practitioners, but I can assure you, I can actually say this, it can be applied to everybody. It can be applied in any society, and it should be applied in all societies in order to have real, true world peace and community harmony. Okay, so the first one is doctrinal unity in views. Of course, in here it says doctrinal unity. That means we have to actually harmoniously agree in common view in Dharma, the way how we live our life. Similarly, I think in the society, society should have a harmonious view on diversity, diversified beliefs, like religions, and we should embrace them. Everybody should embrace diversified views. Okay? If we look at the different nations in the world, we notice there is a lot more, hopefully there is a lot more cooperation and common ground that we live by, abide by, among all nations than divided views. But it seems that in the last couple of years, there are more divided views, more than common grounds. And we really need to work towards this, is how we should actually accept. We actually cannot unify people in different doctrines. We cannot unify. But if we actually believe in or have a faith in particular doctrines, at least this group of people have to be unified. And this group of people who are unified should actually embrace those other groups of people who are unified in their beliefs. And we should not fight against each other. Okay? That's how I believe that. It's impossible actually to have a unified doctrinal belief. It's impossible. Because we all have different karma. And we all have different cultures. And it's not necessary. But at least we don't kill the other people, the other people who have that kind of unified faith or unified doctrines. Okay? So that's the first harmony that we need to actually arrive at. And so for example, for us in here, we have common belief or faith in the Buddha's teachings, in what he teaches us, then we need to have a unified view all the time. And if we cannot get a consensus, we try to arrive at a consensus. We don't try to fight off each other. Okay? So the second one is moral unity through upholding the precepts. So it applies to everybody, even in the society, right? If everybody uphold a moral standard to cross the street with a green little man walking, that is morality. And moral standard abiding by stop sign, that is morality, right? And that creates a very harmonious road. It's not like road raging all the time, right? So we know how to drive, and then we'll feel very safe how to cross the road and how to be driving safely on the road. So precepts, that means morality, that means at least we have to abide by some moral precepts, morality, in order to actually bring harmony into a family, into a little society like us, we here, or into a bigger society, community, or even into our nation, into the world. So it has to start from here first, yourself first, and then your family, and then expand outward to the community, to the society, and to the nations, and to the world. So moral unity through upholding the precepts. And of course, in society, everybody should be equal in the eyes of the law, right? So no one should be above the law. No one should be. But it doesn't seem that way nowadays. Okay, and especially now we have been serving so long, not volunteering so long in the prison system, inside prisons. We see that there are actually a lot of injustice, and but what can we do? Okay, so I'm sure if we are all equal in the eyes of the law, and I'm sure people will have more respect for the law than anything. Okay. And I think if we are very, very fair, people would respect you more. And if you are very fair, and people would be inclined to abide by it. Most people would be, I think. Okay. So the third harmony is economic unity in communal use of necessities and food. And this is called harmony in economics, or in the fair spread of everything, fair share of everything. So this is great, isn't it? Why are you?
I'm sorry, because you say that at lunchtime sometimes. Okay, fair share, and then everybody gets one piece.
Yeah. That's fair share. So as I always say, if you don't get one, sorry. Well, this time when I went back to Po Lam, I was sitting at the head. I'm almost the second or the third senior, the most senior. And they bring fruits for us to choose. I did not choose this time. I just pick. I just take whatever that is right in front in the basket. I just pick an orange, whatever. So I transformed myself. But there were no mangoes. But there were a lot of mangoes. When we went to pay respect to the seafood, there were a lot of mangoes. And I looked at the mangoes. I smiled to myself. I don't attach to the mangoes anymore. So fair share is in the monastic sangha. All renunciates live a very equally shared, simple life, and have equal access to communal property. So but in the secular world, it's very difficult, right? It's very difficult because actually there is some people have too much, some people have too little, and it's actually very, very difficult to have a fair share. And those people who don't have, they always complain that a lot of people, they always complain about people who have, and those people who have, they seldom share that whatever that they have, and it is sad. It is sad in a way, and so that's why fair share is actually I think is a very, very ideal way to be applied to a society. If everybody have a fair share to work also, okay, and and also this is why we don't charge people for courses and food. As you know, that we never charge people, and because I feel that it has to be shared without any conditions attached, because my teachers share with me, my teachers, I have many teachers, and of course my seafood share with me everything that he can share with us. And I think that's why we should not charge anybody for anything, okay? To maintain purity, because once you start to charge, then there will be like, okay, this I will charge $50 for this course, and $200 for that course, and $1,000 for that course, and there will be like, oh well, $50 is too cheap. This must be a bad course. $1,000, oh, this is a wonderful course. I should go and take this one, right? So, yeah, people still ask me why don't I charge? I say I can't. If I charge, people who cannot afford, they cannot come, right? So then they said, if you charge more than people who can afford, then you get more wealthy people, maybe then you can get money faster for your redevelopment. I said, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, I tell them a lot of people who actually support and donate is those people who actually in the middle lower class, and they are willing to support no matter how difficult. They're willing to put the money aside and save it for us, you know. So these three are the basic requirements for harmony in society or in communities. Okay, the basic requirement in order to have harmony, you need all these three prerequisites. The fourth one, physical unity by living harmoniously in the same community. So, for example, in a monastic sangha, like in monastic community, monks and nuns should observe, bodily, the same rites and rituals, the same precepts. And in the society, our actions also can be used to help each other and bring on respect in the world, in the society. In this way, we can actually peacefully coexist in the same society. We don't have to worry. We don't have to be scared. If I don't lock my door, will somebody come and rob us, or will somebody come and abuse us, right? So we don't have to worry. And the fifth is verbal unity through loving speech and refrain from criticisms and discord or arguments. Okay, so in a sangha, in the monastic sangha, we should try our best to practice loving kindness speech and refrain from criticisms and discord, divisive talk. This actually fosters a huge harmonious environment in society, in community. And in society, this will actually greatly diminish misunderstandings and also animosity, because sometimes we say something without awareness. Those are the really hurtful words. And even though sometimes we remember to apologize, I'm sorry. But even that I'm sorry, those three words doesn't mean anything, because it doesn't come out with a really truthful heart. Okay? So sincerity and thoughtful is actually very important qualities of the mind in order to actually have a wholesome speech. Okay? So the sixth one is mental unity through shared joy. So we rejoice. We rejoice in others' achievements. We rejoice in others' development and cultivation. We don't get envious. We don't get jealous. Instead, we rejoice. If I'm not good enough, we rejoice. Oh, you're so much better. You're so much cleverer. You're so much smarter. I really would love to be as smart as you, rather than, huh. Right? Big deal. She thinks she's very smart. Forget it. Right? That's jealousy. That's jealousy. That is going to cause so much disharmony in the community. You have something to say, Laura?
No, I'm
Okay.
just totally agreeing with you.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and also it really, if we start to rejoice in people's efforts, trying to work hard, trying to make things work and whatever, if we just start to rejoice in their efforts, we will start to actually look up to people and say, oh, well, really, I really should work harder. You know, I cannot work as hard as they are, but they are working, that's good, that's spare me. Why not, right? Instead of thinking, oh, well, you know what, yeah, they're just trying to do things and get people's attention and blah, 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 blah. It's not going to help. It's not going to help even in the invisible vibrations of a place. Okay, even though that you don't say it out, you don't voice it out, you don't show it on your face, but in your heart, in your mind, you think, oh well, what a big deal, they are doing this, blah blah blah, like this. I tell you, what you actually coming out from your body, those invisible vibrations are very, very destructive. They are actually more destructive than those behaviors through the body and the speech, because it permeates into the whole atmosphere. Those are really harmful, destructive vibrations. We feel it. We can feel it. Okay, so try to actually rejoice in people's work, in people's efforts, rather than being envious or angry. And 4, 5, and 6 actually is performance behaviors of being in a harmonious environment. Those are because of harmony. So you will have physical unity, you will have verbal unity, you will have mental unity. So performance of being harmonious. Okay. So for harmony, I would say one more word is harmony is very crucial in creating a peaceful, conducive place for practice, for us to live, and for many generations to actually to benefit from. In order to achieve this, everyone within the community have their own share. Everybody have a share, and we should try to maintain this certain level of awareness, very high level of awareness and mindfulness, for us to recognize our behavior in the society, in the community, whether it's going to be conducive, beneficial, or it's going to be harmful and destructive. Okay, now we can dedicate our merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we share all our benefits by studying the words of the Buddha. May we share all these benefits with all beings, visible, invisible, human, non-human, big or small, far or near. May they be happy, may they be peaceful, may they eventually attain ultimate freedom. May more and more people will encounter the words of the Buddha, study them, practice them, liberate themselves from their own entanglements, and be truly happy, truly peaceful.